Broke my leg while on holiday. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more when more people come in. If more people come in. I've just been spending the last half an hour just setting up the stream again and stuff. I've not actually been at my PC for 2 weeks. Or nearly 2 weeks. 13 days I think, because I got a warning today that if I don't play solo queue, then I'm gonna start losing LP. So I'd like to kind of keep the 783 LP. I think every day I don't play from now on, I'll lose like 100 LP or something. So yeah. Hey Ghost. Hey Miss Swaggy. Who needs both legs? I would like both legs actually, to be honest. Being incapacitated on the sofa for... I've actually just lost all track of time, to be honest. It's been... I think I got back Saturday. So I've been on the sofa since like, what, Saturday evening? 4 days straight, just on the sofa. Pissing in bottles like this. Really fun. Fun stuff. I'm sure I'll be pissing here at some point.
Ponic Spun just resubbed for 37 months. Yo.
Hey Phony, thank you very much for the tier 3 sub. Thank you very much. Miss Swaggy, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Swaggy joined the berry bush.
Also, I've not had a shower for like a week. The last time I had a so-called shower, it was a almost elderly Turkish nurse that kind of washed me down. So yeah, that was nice. So yeah, I can't get upstairs and at the moment. So yeah, just like being with, it is like being with a baby. Hopefully with less crying though. But yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more later on. But yeah, it's been quite I don't know. Everything really. All the words. Literally all the words. Apart from the good ones. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully I haven't been crying too much. I've been asking my wife and my son to pass me stuff while I've been on the sofa the last few days. I mean, mainly it's been touch wood. I don't feel too bad at the moment, that's why I'm here, but the last 2 days in particular, the basically I'm taking some stomach medicine. So first thing in the day I have to take like a stomach medicine to kind of like line my stomach or something and stop producing as much acid reflux, because I'm taking like lots of tablets which are basically kind of like some sort of profen, not ibuprofen, but like stronger than that kind of stuff. And that can give you stomach ulcers and stomach bleeding and stuff, so that's meant to help kind of like at least protect me a little bit from that. And that drug has been like awful. It's like migraines and nausea and stuff, and like yesterday I think I slept for like 16-17 hours or something. So yeah you're gone for 2 minutes and you got broken. I know, right? Never leaving the house ever again. I was only just starting to do Pokemon Go as well. It's just I started to like do like 6 to 7 to 10,000 steps a day with Pokemon Go, and then I break my leg, so now I won't be able to walk now for, I don't know, I got an appointment tomorrow with a, I don't even know what they call them, osteopath person man thing, bone guy. He deals with the bones, and I've got an appointment with him tomorrow. I'm assuming I'll probably have another X-ray then. So I already had an X-ray, had an MRI. Like I've got so many like things first. I might as well just talk about it now since we're just talking. So many like first time things for me. Like I've never had an operation. I've had an X-ray before. I've had to have an MRI scan.
Behave plants joined the berry bush. I thought the phrase break a leg is supposed to be on a positive note. Jokes aside, hope you feel better.
Thank you, plants. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. And thank you for everyone that's been maintaining their subs while I've been away. I will say, like on July, I just hit 100. So I kept the 60-40 ratio. So thank you for the people that were maintaining their subs there. But yeah, I had an MRI because I might as well just explain everything. But there's enough people here now. I'll probably end up explaining it more later. So in the hotel room, I slipped on water, but I didn't fall over, which is like the weird thing. Like I probably would have injured myself less if I decided just to fall over onto my face. But because I tried to maintain balance, I kind of like, I don't know, the best way I can imagine it is like my leg was probably going as it was swaying backwards, and then it like eventually something just kind of gave. I didn't know what I did to it originally. At first, it was just like a massive amount of pain in my leg. I was like, fuck, this hurts, right? And I sat down and I had this throbbing pain in my leg for like 30 minutes. But then it went, like it didn't hurt anymore in terms of like keeping it in a resting position. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just like a sprain or something. This was like 5 o'clock in the evening at the hotel in Turkey. And I was like, okay, well, it's maybe just sprained. Let's just go to dinner and like the hotel kind of like buffet, whatever. And my wife would just give me like plates. So it was probably like what would normally be like they actually had like a little like golf cart thing that they could like take people's luggage and stuff around because the resort was kind of like that big. And our hotel room was quite far away from the actual like main bit of the hotel. So I got on like a hobbled to this golf cart. Like every time pressing down on my foot, it was just like sharp pain. And I was like, this kind of sucks, but I can just about kind of like hobble along kind of thing. I had my dinner, went back to the hotel room, went on the bed, kept my leg up, and then woke up the next morning and I looked at my knee and it was just like almost like there was a balloon around my knee. So like, yeah, okay, we need to call the hotel doctor. Yada yada. Got to the hotel doctor eventually, and then he said that you need to go to hospital to get at least an X-ray. He was like, best case, just a minor tear or something, and you need some rest. Worst case is, he didn't really explain what worst case was, and I think he kind of knew what he was dealing with, but he didn't really tell me. So he waited until I get to the hospital. Like, don't forget, this is all in Turkish. Like, I went to the hospital. I opted to go to the hospital by myself, so I let my wife and my son stay at the hotel. Mainly because of like my son. I knew there would be tons of waiting around because at that point it's having to contact. Like, I probably was sat in 2 hours in hotel reception, like sourcing out insurance, documents, and stuff like that. And like, they were obviously busy and they seemed to only have like one English translator. So it was just like, it took a good 2 hours maybe until anything even kind of happened. I'm sitting in this like waiting room with I got given one crutch actually by the doctor. But yeah, so like I'm throughout this whole time I don't really know what's going on. No one's like talking to me, and that's actually a common theme throughout the entire thing. I have no idea basically what is happening to me. And I don't really understand what's happened to me until I'm out of the hospital, by the way. That's how kind of crazy, like no one's like really explaining anything to me really at any point. It's just like, I'm just being sent into these different areas and it's just like, okay, well, that's the point, like just feeling like bad about it. I'm just gonna let them do their job because they know what they're doing, but I don't know what drugs I've been given at any point, and or what operation I'm gonna have or anything like that. Not really. So I see the doctor and he's like, yeah, you need to have an X-ray. Okay, I'll have an X-ray, whatever. And then I get taken over to like this emergency bay area. And when it starts getting a bit more serious is where there's like 8 beds in this kind of tiny room. And there's one woman there that is like with her family and she looks extremely pale. in her kind of like swimming costume or whatever. So like something really bad probably happened to her, like she drowned or something like that. Like she looked like she had just been resuscitated kind of thing. And I was like, okay. I felt, I don't know, it felt really, I don't know, like almost like I was in the wrong place kind of thing at that moment. So yeah, I don't know, once again just by myself, and then the like maybe about half an hour wait. So the X-ray. Yeah, first I get whisked to an X-ray. So I was like, that's what I was expecting, right? So it's like I get like, you know, taken over to an X-ray. I have to put my leg up. They've got like a aim dart board kind of thing on the thing that you put your leg up, and I'm just like, okay, aim my leg into the dart board. I can't miss, right? And then it's quite funny actually. Like, but I had multiple X-rays actually while I was there, and all the times the physician or whatever, the person who's managing the X-ray, I could just hear them playing like mobile games like Bejeweled or something in the background. They had that X-ray, and then about a lot of waiting after, like maybe 20-30 minutes after that, it was just like, you're gonna have an MRI. And I'm like, okay. And the English translator starts saying all this scary stuff like, do you have chronic medication stuff? Do you have have you had an MRI before? Do you have any metal stuff inside your body? And I'm like, no. And like at this point, like, honestly, I kind of understood what like an MRI was before I had one. Like, you're not meant to have like anything magnetic on stuff and like that on you. She let me keep my wedding ring on. Like, I asked like multiple times, like, is this safe for me to keep? I was kind of paranoid, like when going in there, that this ring was just gonna like snap off my finger and go into the machine. But she said it was fine, and she was right, I guess. But like the MRI thing is super weird. So I didn't go like fully in the machine. Like my head was kind of like poking out at the end. But like it's like 15 or 20 minutes, yeah, of just extremely loud random noises. That the best way I can explain it is if you've ever played a video game, like an 8-bit game, right? Like say Sonic the Hedgehog or something, and you get hit by an enemy, right? That sound effect when you get hit by an enemy, right? Splice that down to like a fraction of a second, and then imagine that sound on repeat on loop for like 5 minutes, and then a different sound for 5 minutes for a different. It was crazy. And I'm like, I'm clutching to my chest onto this panic button thing, knowing that if I press this panic button thing as well, I will probably break the machine, which probably costs like millions of pounds. That's going through my mind right now. So yeah, at the end, my ears were ringing. I'm surprised I didn't get given like earplugs or something. But yeah, so that was the MRI. Like not knowing and not being explained to me, having that experience was kind of wild, actually. Then after that, they whisked me back into that emergency room. I can't remember if that lady was still there or not. There was like another like younger kid there that was like hooked up to like an IV drip or something. He seemed kind of chill, so the atmosphere was slightly better in the room, like less emergency feeling. The doctor then said to like lie in the bed, and then he said the translator was there again, and she said we're gonna take blood from your knee. And I'm like, okay. That's all I was told. So after finding out, they were basically taking blood to reduce the swelling around the knee. Basically the gist of it was they quickly put like the iodine stuff on your knee, like the yellow stuff, stab in needle, like no warning, like sharp pain or anything, just nice stab in the knee. And then had like 4 people like looking around, like I think there was probably some like juniors there or whatever learning. And like all of them were kind of like shocked, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And the English translator said, like, there are a lot of blood you want to see? And I'm like, sure, why not? So I kind of like almost trying to lunge forward like that, and then she then finally like presses the button to like sit me up. Apparently, I was like estimated of like 100 milliliters of blood in like this little cardboard collective pot. Apparently, that's a lot. When I looked at it, to most it didn't seem like a lot, but apparently it was a lot to them. So I don't know. Then proper doctor comes in who can speak some English. He says, you need to have operation. He didn't really explain what had broken. He said I dislocated my knee. So I knew that at that point. And he said I needed screws and a plate put in. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, first we need to clear it for insurance. And then it's like, okay, so I'm waiting for insurance for like another hour at this point to try and a hospital to communicate with the insurance company. Then I get put in a wheelchair again, get sent upstairs into quite a big fancy room. It's like for a hospital, it was quite a big room. It was like a private hospital with the insurance, so I guess that was good. Hospital moving faster than the insurance company. It ended up actually being the other way around. The hospital, the insurance company kept waiting for the hospital to send them documents, and actually on the day after, I wasn't released for like ages because the hospital kept not responding to the insurance company apparently. So, but anyway, so I got whisked up. I got put in a big room. Dumped on the bed. And I don't know. I'm just trying to make myself comfortable. I'm having to strip down. I'm completely naked with the. They didn't say I had to strip down, but I know because of experience, because my wife has been in hospital a couple of times, that you have to be completely naked. So I stripped down completely naked into the overall gown thing. At this point, I was getting like a little bit nervous inside. Like I'm not really sure what's going on or what's going to happen in terms of like this operation or anything. Probably did like 2 poos during that point, hobbling over to the toilet. Luckily, this is relevant for later. This is in Turkey slang, so this is relevant for later. And I'm glad I did those 2 poos, and completely emptied out. Also, I'm going to be skipping ahead a bit, but anyway, the doctor came in eventually after about another hour or so and said, you need to sign these papers. This wad of papers is a copy for yourself. You need to sign this. And it's just like literally this guy was just like, sign here, sign here. I don't know what the fuck I'm signing for, by the way. I could be like signing over all of my assets at this point and I have no idea what's going on. Just like sign here, sign, like literally like 50 times, right? I'm just assuming I'm not being scammed here and that this is for the actual medical treatment. And it's like, put your next of kin here, okay? Or if anything goes wrong, who has permission to end your life or whatever? Okay, that's great. That probably took about 10 minutes just signing documents. Then he went away again. And then I had a copy for myself, like 4 copies. One of the copies, like, because there was so much paperwork, I was just like, I can't handle this right now. I can't look at this paperwork, and majority of it's in Turkish. And like, I was like, at some point later on, I was like getting my phone out and doing like Turkish to English on like Google Lens and trying to like get a vague idea of what any of this mumbo jumbo is. And it's just like, as you can imagine, it's not great. And it was just like, I just couldn't take it at that point. But actually, in that pile was some English stuff to tell me vaguely what my operation was going to be. And a lot of it's just waiting. I was probably like waiting 2 hours, 3 hours. I finally like got a nurse's attention and said like, tried to explain in Turkish. It's like, you know, when am I having the operation in Turkish kind of thing. And at that point, like roughly around about the point, I looked at one of the paperwork and I saw that I saw the word epidural, and another word for like being put like to sleep basically. And I was like, Okay, so that's what's going to be happening to me. I'm going to have an epidural, and I'm probably going to be put under. Okay. The only experience I have with epidurals is my wife giving birth to my son. That's like my only experience with it. I had no idea what like the side effects of that would be, and I tell you that they're fucking wild. By the way, the side effects, like it's the strangest sensation I've ever felt in my life. But anyway, before we skip to that bit, eventually maybe I got to the hospital maybe about 12 o'clock. I'm about to go for my operation at 7 o'clock in the evening. So they they take my bed that I'm already on in the hospital room. They take me to another room. At this point, no one is talking to me in English. There's no English translator here. I am literally just going off hand signals and vibes right now, right? Like from this point onwards until after my operation, basically there's no English. So this is where it gets really kind of like I'm completely in their hands and just have to like guess almost on what I'm meant to be doing here when they're having this epidural and stuff. But anyway, so I get taken down basically into their basement. Like -3, like the lowest level that you can go is the basement of the hospital. So okay, well, goodbye world. My organs are now gone, right? Going slowly towards the room, you can feel it getting colder and colder. And you're butt naked, basically, apart from this like thin gown that I've got on, right? When you get into the actual like theater, the actual room itself, it is so cold already, right? It's like walking into a fridge, basically, in a if you've ever worked in a supermarket, like, you know, when there's the back where they store the food, you go, it's like that cold, but you're naked, basically. So yeah. And then they asked me to shuffle over to, so they positioned my bed right next to the other bed, and they asked me to shuffle over to the other bed. So I like shuffle over or whatever. My butt's probably all hanging out at that point. And then quite a cute anesthetist maybe or something like that, like nurse. She was doing her best to kind of explain what's going to happen. I could understand the word epidural because I think it's like roughly the same as in Turkish. That's the only reason why I can. It's like at that point, okay, they told me to like lean forward, and I could feel like, I'm assuming it was like the iodine stuff going onto my back because it was cold. And I was like, okay, here we go. And she was like, bend, put your head, like she was trying to like make me copy what she was doing, and then she was like doing the head on the chin, and then she looked at me and she would go, I was like, okay. Like at this point, this is where I'm gonna start falling asleep, right? Although I didn't fall asleep until like a few minutes after that, so I'm not really sure what that. I think she was just trying to explain to me I'm having the epidural. Yeah, it was like medical charades. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, then they stabbed me in the spine, which was a nice sharp pain. Did my best, absolute best, not to move because I know it's like you cannot fucking move in that situation, right? And then I felt like the fluid go into my spine. Then they took the needle out, and then I had like a motion to like go lie down. So I was gonna lie down, and they're like, no, stop! Like I'm not like, didn't even say stop. I was like, no, or whatever. So I was like, okay. So I'm stuck in this kind of like hunched over position for a bit longer, and then eventually I'm told I'm allowed to like lie down. So then I lie down, and then they put like a mask over my face. I don't even know what the mask was for. Like I don't think anything was coming out in terms of sedating me. At some point I was getting sedated during this point. And then they kind of like put me in a Jesus position. I felt them take my arms and then put them on something really cold. I'm assuming it was like some like silver like table things. So I'm like on the bed with my arms out, kind of like Jesus. And then I think I went under. And then I woke up like maybe halfway, 2/3 away through the surgery. Oh, before they put me in Jesus position, after they put me in Jesus position, they put like a little barrier up with like a bit of green cloth so I couldn't see over. But I woke up 2/3 of the way through the surgery, which I don't know if it was intended or not. But yeah. I kind of let a little around. I could see my phone. I'm like, okay, do not move. Whatever you do, do not move. So yeah, I don't know if they were aware that I was awake. I didn't say anything, but I was just like, all I could feel right now, I was just like, I was really, really cold. The things on my arms that I was like resting on, like Jesus, were really, really cold. Gosh, what else? Like, I don't know. Like, I was probably like that for like 15, 20 minutes. I think the operation was like an hour, and I was probably like that for 15, 20 minutes. I was just like, just breathe, just let them get on with it, just don't move. Like, that was just my thought process for the last 15, 20 minutes of that operation. Yeah, I mean, I could see, like, because the barrier wasn't enough to kind of like block them, so I could see them like moving around and like looking at my leg and stuff like that. And then at like at some point, I don't know if it was like at the end after the operation was over, but I was just like, oh look, I remember I was just uncontrollably like shivering like everywhere. I couldn't stop shivering. I was just like that the whole entire time. And they didn't really explain anything at all from this point onwards. So it's just like, then I was taken up to my room eventually. After that point, I was, you know, hooked up to stuff. I mean, I was already hooked up to IV stuff before that point. Taken up to the room, you know, let my wife know that the operation was over. Then they came and visited maybe about an hour or so afterwards. But yeah, the whole sensation of the epidural probably lasted for like 7 hours. But I was completely numb from like the waist down. Like, I could touch my leg. I couldn't move my legs or move my toes on either of my legs, like even like my good leg, and touching it just felt like really, really weird. And I can remember like sending like brain signals to my toes to get them to wiggle. Like if you think right now to like move your toe, like the brain signal, I could send that brain signal over, but my toe wouldn't move, and it was just like the weirdest thing ever. So yeah. So my family was over, and kind of luckily that they were there in a way. That they were probably only there at the hospital for like an hour anyway, because my son was obviously getting upset and stuff anyway. But I really used my wife there because the poo story now comes into this. I didn't poo myself, but I pissed myself, right? I wasn't hooked up to a catheter. I wasn't aware of this, obviously, because I was kind of out of it still. But I wasn't hooked up to a catheter. And the epidural, when it wore off, the last area that wore off was my whole kind of like groin area, right? I got sensation back in my good leg, then I could start wiggling my toes and my bad leg, but I couldn't. I had no sensation of like if I needed to pee or not. It was just gonna go kind of thing, right? Like I had no feeling of needing to go to the toilet or or trying to like, you know, when you try and stop yourself peeing to wait to go to the toilet, like none of that. It was just piss. Because when they put it in, you're sedated, but when they take it out, yeah, I heard that when they take it out, it's pretty bad. But actually, to be honest, for the whole entire thing, I think I would have rather have had the catheter, because the amount of times I had to, because when they finally hooked me, because you're not allowed to eat. They asked me like 10 minutes before I was going to go in, by the way, oh, when was the last time you ate, by the way? And I was like, luckily it was like at breakfast time, so it was like 10 o'clock-ish or something. Because I think you have to wait like 6 hours or something before you eat, before you be sedated or whatever. So you don't choke on your own vomit or something. I was like, yeah, I haven't had anything since since 10. So like luckily like they checked that. They would have postponed surgery. Yeah, but the whole kind of urgency was just as like I was meant to be going home the next evening, right? So so I'm in hospital. I've had my operation, right? I'm meant to be getting on a plane in 27 hours back home, right? So my thought, right, is like how, okay, right, I've had this operation. How quickly can I get from this position here onto a plane and getting home and then getting medical treatment at home if needed? One sec. So I mean, it wasn't gonna happen any. Well, it was kind of close actually in the end, but yeah, that's basically the kind of, because the doctor made it kind of like seem like it was potentially possible that was gonna happen. But yeah, I'm glad. Basically, I didn't make that flight, but I'm glad I didn't make that flight for multiple reasons. But yeah, I wouldn't have been able to make that flight in terms of my physical well-being and condition. So yeah, I pissed myself when I was on the epidural. And then like the whole shenanigans of them having to try and change the bed sheets and stuff like that with me on the bed still. Yeah, that was like probably the most kind of dehumanizing factor of the whole thing. It's just like you're in your own piss, right? Even after they take off all the bed sheets and stuff and sort you out and stuff, you're still in your own piss, right? There's piss on my skin and stuff, and like they I don't know, maybe they could have washed me then a little bit, I don't know, but like I'm just waiting for the next time I'm potentially going to piss myself, right? Because I have no sensation control. I can't move. I literally can't move. There's no catheter in me. They didn't give me like a bottle or anything like that at this point. So it's just like, well, if I'm going to piss, I'm just going to be pissing myself. So just waiting for that next to happen. Fortunately, I don't recall that happening again. And thank God I didn't shit myself during that time, because that would have been awful. So yeah. Gosh. So yeah, my family stayed for about an hour and a half, then they went back to the hotel. I was trying to get sleep at the point, but they were fucking coming in every hour. I know they had to. They were taking like blood pressure, like hooking me up to like the squeezy arm blood pressure thing, and occasionally like they were changing stuff on the IV drip every now and then. I honestly haven't got a fucking clue what they were adding. I don't know if it could have been anything from morphine to just water. I don't know. Like it literally was anything. They weren't telling me anything. They just kept hooking me up to stuff. Not even attempting to say what it was. And I was just like, I just want to try and sleep at this point. But yeah, like every hour they would come in, and then at like midnight they came in with like this chicken soup, but there wasn't much chicken on it, and it tasted like milk. It was really weird. I ate it because it was like literally the only thing that I had since like in 14 hours or something. But it was like this weird milky chicken soup. I don't know if anyone's from Turkey here or can explain what that was, but that was like, it was really weird. It wasn't like bad, but it wasn't nice. It was just like, it was like drinking almost like lumpy warm milk. So yeah, not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I probably tried to sleep for like multiple hours after that. I remember waking up again at 2 a.m. And then I don't know, it was just like, I'm sure they probably came in and did blood pressure while I was still asleep, I'd imagine. I don't know. But yeah, that was a really horrible sleep that night. So I'm like waking up in the morning, like 7 o'clock. It's like breakfast is now being delivered. And I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, have I got a sensation of my legs and stuff now at this point? Yep, I can feel everything. I can feel the need to go to the toilet now. Okay, so the epidural is now like completely worn off. They've given me breakfast, and I can't remember what was on. I'll try and remember what was on that breakfast meal. Actually, I think I may have to take a picture of it. Actually, And then the first thing in my head is like, okay, it's 7 o'clock now. I have 16 hours to get on the flight. So I have basically the take off like 3 hours of maybe traveling. I have I have 12 hours to get out of this hospital to make it to my flight back home. That's basically going through my mind right now. And I'm like, I need to like, when am I going to get discharged and all that kind of stuff. That's like the first thing that's just like going through my head. Like, how quickly can I go from this point to back home? Honestly, at this point, I had no idea how long, what the recovery kind of track would be. I had no idea that I would be like non-weight bearing for X amount of weeks. I'm still not even sure how long I'm still like non-weight bearing or anything. Like, I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, okay, I'm told that I might be able to get home today. I'm going to try and get home today, right? So I had my breakfast, which was like, what was it? I think it was all right. It had like there was like a slice of cheese. There was like cucumber. There was a couple of rolls. There was some butter. There was some apricot jam thing, which I didn't have. I don't know. There was like 1 or 2 other pieces, and then they had tea. So it wasn't the worst breakfast in the world. Not better than what I've seen in some NHS hospitals. No turkey. No, there might have been turkey in the midnight meal, maybe in that chicken soup thing, maybe. Yeah, the breakfast was fine. Honestly, the food was fine. Although lunch they served you seeded grapes. Like, what monster eats seeded grapes? It's having to spend like half the time just like plucking out seeds from your mouth. But yeah, the food there was like, it was okay. Like it was like better than I thought it would be. Like lunch, they had like almost like a potato lasagna thing, and there was like another bread roll, and there was like a yogurt and the seeded grapes, and maybe like one other thing there too as well. So yeah, the food in the hospital itself was fine, but like time was just kind of like ticking away, and no one was telling me anything, and I was trying to like. I didn't have a button. I think there was a button behind me. I'm not sure, but like no one gave me a way to contact a nurse if I wanted to. That was the most stressful thing at the hospital, because I had no way to contact a nurse. So the only time I could try and get someone's attention is if they were actually coming into my room, which was like maybe once every 2 hours now at this point, maybe once every 3 hours. 2-3 hours. So when the nurse came in around about 8 o'clock, I was like, on my Turkish translator, I was like, I need to use the toilet, and can I try and shower? Which obviously, like looking back at it now, is like, there's no fucking way I could use the shower. But by myself, they had like a little stall in the shower, and I was like, you know, maybe I can just, I don't know, like there's a massive slip hazard anyway. I could probably break my other leg. But like, I was just thinking, I just want to just feel good a little bit of myself, and just, you know, kind of cleanse myself of what's just happened, and move on. But yeah, I wasn't expecting this next bit where she had like the wheelchair, she brought it up to the bed, and then she wheeled me over into the toilet, and I was like, okay, thank you. And then she was like, pull this wire. She pointed to the wire, pull it, and then she like pointed at herself. So my indication was like, pull this emergency red wire when I need her. I was like, okay. So I'm sitting on the toilet. No poo, just wee. It's just like, okay, right. At least I didn't piss myself this time. Okay, great. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. Pull the wire. Like nothing. There's no feedback on this thing, by the way. I pull the wire. I had a slight click from something like, you know, actually like activating, like if you're pulling like a light switch in a bathroom kind of thing. There's like no light, no noise. I'm like, did that work? Pull it again. No. So now I'm sat on this toilet for like 3 minutes or something, and eventually she comes back in. She gives me the thumbs up, as you do, and I'm like, yeah. And then she helps me get back into the wheelchair, and I'm like, okay, how am I gonna shower at this point? And then with her, she's bought like these packets, which and some shampoo, and I'm like, okay. And then she basically, you know, implies I stand up and then like put my head over, and okay, she's gonna wash my hair. Okay, that's cool. That's nice of her. She's gonna wash my hair. Okay. And then she takes this packet out, and it's got like these giant like rectangle wipes, but they kind of like foam up on like sponge like on activate, and I'm like, oh no, she's gonna wash me. And yeah, she's like, put your arms up. I'm like, okay. And then shortly afterwards, she went right through the groin area. So at least it got the piss off of me. But yeah, it was kind of, I don't know. It was kind of humbling in a way, like to get washed down like that by she's probably like 60 years old Turkish nurse. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that, and I'd hunch over and she did my back. I think at some point she probably did my butt crack as well. So yeah. Yeah, and then she wheeled me over to the side of the bed, and then she went to get me some toothpaste and toothbrush and like clean my teeth. And she kind of she tried to style my hair a little bit or whatever. Like she was obviously really sweet and stuff, but yeah, it was kind of like I wasn't expecting. It's just all these things I just weren't expecting because there's no communication to me that this stuff was gonna happen. So it's like, yo, you're gonna have a operation in your leg, you're gonna have an epidural, you're gonna be knocked out unconscious, you're gonna piss yourself, you're gonna have a lady wash you down. Like there's just all this stuff just happening. I'm just having to just ride with it. It's really weird because there's nothing you can do about it really at that point, right? It's just like, okay, this is happening, great. So yeah, then she helped me get dressed. So yeah, you know, shirt and new underwear, and yeah, at this point I was like clothed at least a bit now. How was my face? My face at that point was probably just like, because I didn't want it to be, it's her job, right? And I know that people, like a lot of people don't like it when you apologize for something that they're doing in a way, because it's like their job and they own it, and a lot of the people are kind of proud that they're doing that. So like saying, I don't want to say sorry too much because it was just like, I don't want to like make it seem like I'm better than her in a way, kind of thing. I don't know I don't know how to explain it, but like I didn't want to like put her down for like doing her job kind of thing. I'm sure it was embarrassing in a way for both of us, probably more so for me, I guess, but she's probably used to it from doing it hundreds of thousands of times. But it's just like I didn't want to like make her feel bad for doing it. So yeah, I don't know. It was as I said, it was quite humbling, honestly. To be honest, it was just like, yeah, this is happening. It's just whatever, really. Yeah, I said thank you a lot, and yeah. But after that point, you know, I was kind of like almost like left alone. I got checked a couple of times, and there were times where like I needed to go back to the bathroom, and I couldn't get, because they didn't give me or tell me a way to kind of communicate like how I could get like the nurse's attention, but there's a button somewhere. I couldn't see a button anywhere at all. So I was just like, I had to go to the toilet twice by myself, which was probably in hindsight a bit fucking stupid, but it was either that or literally just piss myself again. They didn't give me like a bottle to pee in, or you know, had no catheter linked up or anything like that. So it's just like I just had to kind of YOLO it a couple of times to the toilet, which was a little bit scary, I guess. And there was some water still in the bathroom after I was cleaned, and I actually nearly slipped on that as well. So I was, after the second time, I was like, yeah, I can't do this again. So yeah. So yeah. So like the third time I was like, when I was actually, okay, so this bit here is wild. It must have been maybe around about, so I had my lunch, so it must have been around about like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A nurse comes in with a relatively serious face, comes in with a wheelchair, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Am I getting discharged? Am I going for more scans? Like, what's going on? And then the doctor that I saw the day before that did like the sucked out the blood out of my knee came in with an English translator, and I'm like, what's going on? Am I being discharged? And he's like, yep, you're being discharged. And I was like, okay. Like, part of me was like, okay, great, I might be going home today. But the other side of me was just like, am I actually ready to go home? Like, what the fuck? And he's like, I don't know, he's like, he's trying to turbo, like, he's like on a speed run here right now. He's just like, I need to get this information to this patient as quickly as possible and get out. And he's just like, when you get home, you need to have like multiple x-rays and try and keep your feet elevated. Do you know how to do foot pumps? And I'm like, yeah, like foot pumps, yeah, I guess, because like he didn't explain why, but I guess for like blood circulation in the leg for when I'm on the airplane. And he said, I'm happy for you to keep your foot rested, I planted down. I'm like, okay. And that was basically it. Like, that was it. And it's like, okay, you go. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was as quick as that. It was fucking wild. Like 0 to 100. I was just chilling, resting in the bed, like wondering what's going to be happening to like, okay, you're going out of the hospital like right now. And then I'm like, shit. So they bundled me up with my crutches that I've got. Which you can see behind me, actually. They're there. And then they wheel me downstairs, and they give me my fit to fly certificate thing, all my medical notes, and a massive prescription list. I forgot to mention like how I got to the hospital actually from the hotel. So the hospital has like, they must hire a couple of people with like big vans to go around like collecting people from the hotels or whatever to then bring them back to the hospital. I was like the only person on this like minivan thing. I was assuming that was going to be the process on the way out, but that was not the case. I'll explain that a little bit longer, but in a minute. But yeah, so I got this massive prescription list, right? Later on, I find out what these drugs are for. At the time, I'm just like, oh, here's a list. I'm like, okay. First thing the hospital asks for is the excess for the health insurance. I'm like, okay, here you go. Here's the euros for that. And then I'm like waiting. And I'm waiting, and I'm just like waiting in like this kind of like weird reception area for like maybe 20 minutes. I've got like my bag from what my wife gave me to go to the hospital, which had like, you know, like power banks and my wallet and my passport and everything like that. So that was, I was looking after that, and then I had 2 crutches, and then I had like this massive pile of like medical reports, and I'm just like sitting there for like 20 minutes, just like, what, like are they going to bring out, like, some hospitals have like a pharmacy department? Are they going to give me like, you know, the medication or whatever, or like what's happening? I'm like, eventually like call it, like eventually get one of the receptions this attention. I'm like, what do I do at this point? And she said, well, you're being picked up basically by, they could speak okay English actually, so the receptionist, I think they must have had like multicultural like receptionists. There's a few of them. And she was like, getting picked up by the hotel van. Okay, and great. And I'm like, where do I get these drugs? And she was like, you'll have to tell the person to take you to a pharmacy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, fine. I'll have to tell him that we're going to a pharmacy. Okay, sure. I mean, I'm sure they're used to this, right? Okay, it's fucking weird that I have to do this, but yeah, sure. That's fine. So maybe another 20 minutes wait, and eventually the guy comes. I get wheelchaired down. He says to leave your bags and stuff in the reception, and I'm like, okay, you better be fucking going back for that stuff, because it's got like my passport and stuff in. And he wheels me out to the front of the hospital, then he goes back for the stuff. Okay, right, didn't get stolen, great. And then we get into the minivan, and then he then drives around the hospital back to where I first began, because they first took me down to like this foreign A&E department area, And I'm like, why the fuck am I back here? And then some people actually come into the van. I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing a shuttle bus now. But I'm like, how am I gonna get to the pharmacy with all these other people? What's gonna happen there? And then some more people come on. So this minivan now has like 5 people in, and then I don't think anyone in there speaks Turkish or English. I think there was like some Russians on there maybe as well. So he takes us to the pharmacy first, and only me and another woman needed to go to the pharmacy, and I had to like give him, the driver, the sheet because I was still in this van, quite uncomfortable. Give him the sheet with all my meds, and he goes into the pharmacy, and then they get all the meds, and then the lady comes out with a carrier bag basically of meds, right? And she comes up to me like, she comes to the door and she starts talking to me like, okay, you need to take this drug here, is a blood thinner, like when's your flight? And she was like trying to explain like all these different types of drugs to me, so it's already a lot of information to go through as it is, and like when I have to take them and making sure I don't fuck that up and stuff. And obviously she's doing her best to try and speak English. Her English was actually okay-ish, but because this was taking like a long time, like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes at this point, the driver started, and the other people on the minivan started getting really pissed off that this was taking so long. Like I could tell that the pharmacist was visually like really upset at the driver. So she tried to like explain the stuff as relatively quick as possible. I had a vague idea and stuff, and I was like, in the back of my head, I'm just gonna have to use Turkish to English. So yeah, like the driver was like the main reason why I wasn't able to get like proper information of the actual drugs that were given to me. And I'm like, it will be fine, whatever, I'll figure out. She did actually write, she did, before she did hand me the stuff, she did pen in a little bit of English on, because like all the medical papers inside were all Turkish. Like there's none like, you know, sometimes you have like Turkish and then there'll be like English and German and then Russian or whatever inside the actual packet. It was just full Turkish. But she did write like 1 times 2 and stuff, which I gathered to meant like, you know, or like, was it 2 times 1? So like take 2 of these tablets a day, basically. And then one of them had like before breakfast, 30 minutes. And there was like 1 times 1, and one other one was 1 times 1. So it's just like, okay, I can try and figure this out. So we shuttle some of the other people back to another hotel, and then we finally get to mine, and I'm like, okay. And I go back to the hotel room, and then at this point, it's just trying to figure out if I can get home today. Because at this point, it's now probably, the flight was probably around about 11 o'clock at night. And I got back to the hotel probably somewhere between around like 4 and 5 o'clock. It's an hour drive to the hotel, to the airport. And they want you to be at the airport like 2.5 hours earlier before your flight to make it. So that's like the kind of like, there's not much time between me being at the hotel potentially here, having to dash, get on the taxi basically from the hotel to the airport in order to actually make my flight. But during this time, like my wife's trying to talk with the insurance company, and we hadn't had any information from the insurance company at all. And they told her maybe about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to hold off going on the flight, which is kind of stressful because they needed the medical report from the hospital saying stuff like how I'm fit to fly and the operation and all that sort of stuff, and they wanted to go through it. So we ended up like waiting in the reception area of the hotel for maybe like an hour and a half. It was getting towards like 6 o'clock, and it was just like, then our transfer was coming to go to the airport. I had to make a decision like right there. It's just like, do we just get onto this flight and ignore what the insurance company just said? Or do we just wait and see, maybe try and go out on a different night? We decided to ignore the transfer and go out on a different night because didn't want to piss off the insurance company, because the last thing I need to do is pay out for all the operation and health costs if they decide to like void it because we ignored them. So we decided not to take the that flight back, which I was really grateful for because at this point I hadn't taken any of the drugs that they had given me. It was getting close to the hotel dinner time. And they had like a little wheelchair as well that I could use to try and go down to dinner. But long story short, I had to basically use my crutches anyway because the wheelchair kind of sucked anyway. But during dinner, my leg was like even like in a sitting position, like kind of like what I am right now. I won't really tell you what I've hooked up to at the moment. But just sitting at a chair with like your leg kind of sticking out slightly, I could just feel my pain. Like every minute that was going by, it was just like, it was getting like sharper and sharper in the pain. Like this dull ache turning into like an actual ache, into kind of like, oh fuck, I need to elevate my leg like pretty soon. So there's no way I would have been able to do a 4-hour flight sitting up. And then also there was like the hour taxi journey also. So yeah, I would have had to basically be sitting upright for like 5 hours at least minimum, assuming that the flight wasn't delayed, which it was, by the way. That flight that I was meant to be getting ended up being delayed, I think 3 hours. So yeah, kind of dodged a bullet there. I had my food. I took what I call the mega pill with my food. Like an anti-inflammatory bone medication thing. And then that made me pretty drowsy, so I went to sleep pretty quickly when we got back to the hotel room. But there was a whole faff about we had to basically, because my wife had already packed up the suitcases and we left the room, and she had already paid for like late checkout. We also had to like confirm with the insurance company that we could like get where are we sleeping tonight, and they eventually agreed that we could stay at the same hotel that we were already at. But that was like a huge pain in the ass because the receptionists at the check-in couldn't manually book in appointments. My wife had to use their telephone to ring their head office basically to try and explain the situation so that we could get a room, ground floor room to book for us so that we could stay the night. And that took what you would think maybe take like no longer than 15 minutes. I think that took like an hour. And we had like a TUI representative as well trying to help us out as well there. She was actually meant to be leaving to go back home way earlier, but she stayed to kind of help us out. And the woman on the phone actually made my wife cry because like she couldn't really hear the Turkish woman on the other side. And also for some reason the receptionist was like, you need to make the booking for as if it was for yourself, we can't do it for you. But she made my wife cry by like talking like really horribly to her somehow on the phone. And then like the receptionist then called the number himself and then tried to like sort it out through him. But I wish he just did that in the first place. The fact that there's no like kind of protocol in a way for like if someone needs to stay like an emergency night, I'm sure it happens quite often. See you, Miss Swaggy. Yeah, it was weird that there's no kind of protocol for that, but we finally got a room. I finally got some sleep. And we also overnight got information about the flight. And I did post a picture on Discord actually, but I had a row to myself. So I had like 3 chairs to myself and my wife and my son behind me. Actually, the flight was a little bit more emptier than I was actually expecting it to be. It was like an EasyJet flight on the way back. And I was basically, they gave me like an extended seatbelt cord. I don't know if you've seen the photo. There's like a reddish kind of material that goes around me as well. That's the extended thing that chubbier people are meant to wear on the aircraft, but I get to wear one because I'm using up three seats. I'm so big, I use 3 seats. But also another lucky thing as well is that we always take our own pillows when we go on holiday. And for some reason, even if we because we do it like package through TUI, they automatically give you like hold luggage, right? So like 3 suitcases. So we're like, okay, well this time we're actually going to use, you know, the 3rd suitcase, and you know, the pillows that we take up like a lot of extra case room. We just put them in there, and my son can just be the one that wheels that around or whatever. That came in super handy because the insurance also allowed us to have cabin hold luggage as well. So with that one cabin bag, it was just a small like it was just a small cabin bag, right? It wasn't a proper like big suitcase. And it had 3 pillows in, and I was able to use those pillows to put one behind my back where like the airplane window was, and then 2 under my leg. And yeah, the 2 things about that flight. It was, well, I should probably say like the airport. So I got text, you know, we woke up. The flight was probably like mid-afternoon. I had breakfast room service, which was pretty pog. I had lunch room service, which was pretty pog. And then we took the taxi out. The taxi was fine. There was traffic, so an hour journey took like an hour and a half, but whatever. We made it into the airport with 2 hours and a half spare. The bit from going from the taxi, like being dropped off by the taxi bit at the airport, to getting into the actual hotel, into the actual airport. So Turkey has really weird security measures, right? I don't know how many other airports do this, but they want to scan your luggage before you even get out at the checkout. It's Antalya Airport. So they want to scan your bags, your big bags as well that you're going to be putting in the airplane, in the hold. They want to scan all of that before you make it to like the next station. Like usually in an airport, like in the UK, you just walk up straight to your check-in desk, right? But no, first you have to do a whole scanning thing, and there's like no shops before that point, so there's no way to get a drink. I think there's toilets, but there's no shops, so you can't get any water or anything like that. And there is fucking basically near 0 seating apart from like this tiny disabled area, right, which people are sitting in that when they aren't disabled anyway, right? So I'm using these crutches, and I'm like trying my best to make it over, and then I think at one point I probably slipped slightly, but it's fine, it's like whatever. And it's just like this massive like concourse, and I can see in the distance that there's a disabled sign, and there's probably some chairs over there. But like in my head, I'm like, I can't fucking make that. There's like no seating in, like around the edges of the interior of the airport. Is just that is literally the only place where I can sit down and get a breather here. So that was excruciatingly difficult to do. My wife kind of like she dashed over basically to try, and there's a phone there that you call in order to get the assistance. So I'm like waddling over there, and I'm like I'm standing, like eventually make it there. Like I'm actually sweating like a pig at this point, right? It's hot anyway in Turkey, and I've just been on crutches, having to, you know, maybe just for a normal, if you're not in, like if you're walking there normally, it's probably only take like 2 or 3 minutes, but like it's like 5 to 10x that in the situation I'm in right now. I'm not allowed to put any weight on the leg at all. And I'm like I've got these 2 crutches, and I'm like looking at these people that are just sitting in the disabled chairs, like looking at TikTok and stuff, and I'm like, could you please move? They actually ignored me. There was one chair right next to them, so I had to kind of like turn around in front of them, almost put my crutches in their face, and yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, people are great. Honestly, actually, I'd say like 95% of the people were great, and helpful, and nice about the situation and stuff. But there's a weird 5%. particularly in like the airport world, is weird. So eventually, a nice guy comes over with a wheelchair, and I've got my crutches. My wife and my son have all the suitcases and the hand luggage, and he kind of. I've never like the speed around an airport like this, but this was like this was almost too fast of going through an airport, right? So we got kind of whisked through, like there were these massive like lines of people going through these security gate things that they were scanning literally all of their luggage. And then he takes us, we kind of cut the queue a little bit. And then, we're kind of like getting fast tracked, like all the luggage getting put on in front of everybody else, and everyone else is kind of giving us those little glares like, you fucker. We've been waiting here already for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I'd rather be waiting an extra 2 minutes than being able to walk. But yeah, then he's like asking me, the security guy's then asking me to go through like the metal arch detector thing. And I'm not allowed to use my crutches. So I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? I'm literally going to have to hop. After a couple of hops, I think the security guy realized that I can't bear any weight on this foot whatsoever. So then he sticks his hands out, which helps. So I hop through. I think the thing went off because of the screws in my leg. And then I get to sit back in the wheelchair. And then they want to like tap search me or whatever. This fucking idiot, right? He's tap searching me. He hits the bad leg. He's not remorseful for it at all. I'm like, oh fuck, ow, right? It did fucking hurt. He hit my leg when he was doing his tap search on me, and shit. Okay, right. Thank you for that, you fucker. Just making sure that I'm not faking it or some shit. I don't know. Like it was. That's probably the last bad experience I've had now at this point. Yeah, that's the last bad experience. Yeah. That's fun, making sure there's still sensations in my leg. Started throwing fists, bro. I mean, I'm in airport security. Once again, I'm at the mercy of everyone, right? So we get taken to the check-in desk, the EasyJet check-in desk. There's a special like line that's completely empty. Actually, it wasn't that busy actually. The actual EasyJet desk anyway. The disabled one was completely free. I present my fit to fly certificate and all that sort of stuff, and then like the assistant comes over and says, "So what have you done to your leg?" And I'm like, "I just dislocated my leg and dislocated my knee and fractured my tibia. I've had like 3 screws put in." And he's like, but not like, I could tell it wasn't like, as in like, oh, I feel bad for you that's happened. That's like, it was more like the face where I could tell where he's like, oh, is he actually going to be able to go on this flight? I could tell straight away that was his reaction to that. It was just like, is this guy actually fit to go on this flight, even with his certificate? And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And he's like, he tried his best to explain it, but imagine like a good 3 minutes of him trying to explain the situation of what it came down to is, do you need a wheelchair for the aisle on the plane? That's what he was trying to say, but it was just like, it was the hardest thing to kind of like navigate. That conversation was, yeah. And I was like, I can hop. It's like, okay. And he told his assistant, just put walk down. And I was like, okay. So now in the back of my head, when I get on this flight, my seats are right in the middle of the aircraft as well. Like 13, 14 rows down or something like that. So it's just like my mindset is like, okay, so I'm gonna have to hop. At least I'll be like at the first on the flight, but I'm gonna have to hop while holding onto these chairs on the side for like 13 rows without making sure I fall over. I can do that, right? Should be fine. But I tell you what though, being in a wheelchair, right? Once again, it's another very humbling experience. Like being in a wheelchair and seeing how many fucking idiots there are in an airport. Because you don't, when you're in an airport, you're like, you're looking at your phone, you're looking at your check-in desk, you're in your own kind of little world, making sure you got your luggage and everything, right? there are so many people that just are oblivious to their immediate surrounding. Multiple times that this guy was wheeling me to get to the next security check, right? Constantly walking in front of you, constantly just walking in front of you and just standing there. Kids being fucking little rats, like almost like running up to you and then just looking like that at your leg. And the amount of stares I had as well is like people just like looking, or people at the phone, and then at the corner of the eye they see me and I'm like, the proper good, not like, you know, sometimes you just like glance and just be like, okay. And but these people are just like, what? It's it's like really, you got nothing else better going on with your life. Yeah, I don't know. I think at one point a kid was running to keep up with me to look at my leg for like 10 seconds. Also, there was another situation where a kid like had one of the cabin hand luggage things, and he pushed the bag and it was her getting towards me, and I had to like manipulate the crutches that I was holding onto me, make sure nothing else hit my fucking leg. But yeah, being in an airport in a wheelchair is like, you get turbo put through everything like super duper fast. It's almost exhausting, like how fast you go through. It's actually made me appreciate a little bit more like having to wait a little bit at security and just making sure you got everything. Because it's just like my wife and son were trying their best to like keep up as much as they could in terms of like, because it was you getting whisked through mobs of people, skipping lines like crazy. So yeah, and then it's just like at no point, luckily at this point, so I probably went to the toilet before going on the taxi, right? Yes. So I didn't go to the toilet at any point, by the way, so I didn't go to the toilet at the airport, nor on the plane. I did not want to go to the toilet on the plane, especially. Like I didn't feel the urge to go to the toilet when at the airport, but I was just like, whatever happens here in this airplane, I am not going to do a piss or a shit. There is no way I am going to go up 15 rows with a fully crowded plane, right, to go to the fucking toilet. That is not happening. So I just didn't. I mean, I was probably meant to drink more water during that point, but I was just like, I cannot. There is probably more risk me hurting myself, trying to manipulate myself to go to the toilet if I need to, than maybe blood clot risk or whatever from the flight for not drinking enough water. Because at this point, I didn't really tell you too much about the medication I'm on, so I'm taking a stomach medicine to stop protein or something from stomach acid from being produced, so that the other tablets will give me a lower risk chance of stomach bleeding and stomach ulcers. So if I start vomiting blood at any point, let me know. Yeah, it was a proton pump or something. Yeah, something like that. So I have to take that in the morning, 30 minutes before or something before breakfast. Then I don't have the drugs right next to me, but I've got a list. I've got my notes of everything I've been taking every single day. So then it's a tablet of something called Magizik, which is a non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug containing fluorobipriphen. So we're told that I can take 2 of those a day. Apparently I'm allowed to skip 1 if I want to. That's meant to provide relief from pain, swelling, inflammation associated with joints, headaches, dental work, and menstrual cramps. If I ever have any menstrual cramps, I'll let you guys know. Hey Kai, yeah, it's kind of opened my world to the eye to the whole wheelchair world completely. It's crazy. Yeah, I can take 2 of those a day. And then I also have a blood thinner injection where I have to stab myself. And I also have antibiotics. I have another drug called Rantudil. It's a prescription brand name for acemethicillin, a strong non-steroid steroid anti-inflammatory drug used to relieve pain, swelling, and stiffness in joints and muscles caused by conditions like arthritis, gout, or injury. Apparently, that the drug for that I have is meant to be slow inducing or something. I think it's literally called retard. That's like the medical name for it, which kind of caught me off guard a little bit. But I think it's like it slowly enters your bloodstream or something, rather than like how you would normally take off drugs. You can say, "Lol, it's the medical name." Apparently, okay. The like, so yeah. So that's what I call the super pill. That's the one I take in the evening. That gives me drowsiness. So yeah. So that's the one I try and take more in the evening, because that makes me drowsy. The stomach medicine, luckily today I don't feel like it, but 2 days I wanted to come on to stream a bit earlier, like yesterday or the day before. But both days, the stomach medication, I thought it was the other inflammatory drug, anti-inflammatory drug, the Majizek, was causing me to have like massive headaches and nausea. But I'm pretty sure it's the stomach medicine, the stuff that's stopping my stomach acid and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's making me have headaches and nausea. Like I slept for like, I woke up probably like 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and then I was awake for 2 hours, and then I probably went back to sleep for like another 6 hours or something. I mean, well, the side effects of it, what was it called? I've got the name somewhere. It is called Rabiza. Which is a proton pump inhibitor used to reduce stomach acid. It can also mean a Spanish noun for a short rope end, a fishing rod tip, or a kite tail. Ooh. Yeah, the side effects for that is headache, nausea, diarrhea, stomach pain, gas, and dizziness. It gave me gas as well. It does give me gas. So yeah, I get headaches, nausea, and gas from that for sure. Yeah, but it was just like, it was so much like, I thought I was going to be sick. Luckily, I wasn't sick, and it was just like it's horrible stuff. So I don't know what the streams are obviously going to be like. It's going to be highly dependent on how this medication is affecting me. Also, I'm seeing a professional tomorrow afternoon, so if I'm like this tomorrow, I can stream tomorrow. But yeah, I'll wait to see what I'm assuming I'm probably going to try and get an X-ray booked in at some point with him tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, that's it really. Took the flight home, drove back in the middle of the night. My wife did, at least anyway. Been basically lying on the sofa. This is the most upright I've been, by the way, in a week, over a week. A week? Yeah. This is literally the most upright I've been for a week. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed story time. That was over an hour.